today we are doing the infamous chick tract Big Daddy ? With the one, the only AronRa.
What I am, I'm an activist against for accuracy in scientific education. I did a series of videos exposing the foundational falsehoods of creationism, and a subsequent video series trying to explain the rules and the limitations and guidelines that apply to evolution. And I'm now going to start doing educational videos for following the Common Core standards and also the Texas TEAC standards to be used as classroom supplements.
Common Core is hard to follow. I applaud you. I'm actually going into teaching, and we all bitch about it all the time. So
the thing is that there's certain topics that still have to be covered, and you've got a lot of teachers who either, especially here in Texas, where 20% of our science teachers are creationists and deliberately misrepresent the subject matter. Those people that are required by the Texas TEACs, which is the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, they're required to teach various aspects of evolution, not just evolution, just the whole thing, but specific subcategories of that. There's a lot to cover, and if you either don't accept it and you want to lie to your kids when they can find it. This is what my son did. They find where the teacher's lying to them right out of the textbook. The teacher told my kid that there was never any such thing as a beneficial mutation, and my son raised his hand in the class and said, "But teacher, the textbook lists beneficial mutations." Yeah, and he was sent to the office for that. Well, you've got those kind of people, and those are 20% of our science teachers, if that tells you anything. I mean, another of his science teachers told him that cockroaches were categorized as vertebrates.
Really?
He thought the word vertebrate meant animal.
Oh my God!
So yeah, I mean, it's just phenomenally bad. I think he only had one good science teacher his whole career in school. So you've either got those, or you got people who don't know what they're talking about, and then those that do know what they're talking about, if they advocate evolution, if they teach evolution like they understand it and accept it, then they're facing repercussions not just from the students who are trained by some evangelical groups to disrupt the classrooms, and they really are trained that way. But then you've also got parents who are going to then go to the faculty and to the principals and complain to them that my students are being taught this. And in Missouri, they tried to pass a law. They at least presented a bill where schools should have to warn parents when evolution is going to be taught in the classroom, so that the parents could take their students out of the class at those days for unexcused absences to prevent them learning anything factual.
It's incredible.
Sad. It's so odd that the evolution has become this target for evangelical Christians, even though there are plenty of other things that you might learn in school that would also possibly contradict things in the Bible, but it's this one thing that somehow they've all surrounded, and they've said, no, fuck this thing, our kids can't learn this one thing. It's just strange to me.
It's like they're Waterloo. I don't...
Yeah, and it is going to be a losing point for them. So one of the things they've already had to do is to change the definition of everything that evolution is, so that they can, the parts of evolution that are demonstrable, they're going to, the recent diseases that have now evolved where they are resistant to antibiotics. Gonorrhea, for example, can't always be cured with penicillin anymore, so be careful about that, kiddies, and sorry that we didn't teach you any kind of sex ed in school when it was when these things were still curable, because now they'll kill you again, just like
gray emissions from your dick.
Exactly, just like it was 100 years ago before we knew this. And that's what evolution is, but nobody understands that because they've been lied to about what it is, so that they think that evolution is where a deer gives birth to an oak tree or a banana turns into a human. This is the way that they represent it. And one of the examples that I've seen, I think from creation.com, was where a fish walks out of the ocean with human legs that he's walking with.
Were they white people legs?
Exactly, of course, because the first people are always white. You see that in all the representations. Adam and Eve are always white. And when these people argue this, this came up in a debate that I had with Pastor Bob Enyart of Denver Bible Church. He tried to take the human genomic studies showing how the migrations of the human genome through all the different populations, all coming from one group, the mitochondrial Eve study. And he tried to use that to argue for the existence of Eve. And I said, you realize that the same study that you're arguing for also pinpoints Eve as coming from sub-Saharan Africa. He refused to accept that his ancestors could have come from sub-Saharan Africa, so he argued that that's not true, and he doesn't accept that. But he refused to explain why he doesn't accept that, and I know, of course, why it is, because he's a bigoted son of a bitch, and he thinks that Adam and Eve were white people. And so is Jesus, don't you know?
If English was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me.
Exactly. And that's
All
what you
right.
get with a Texas education. Since that quote you just gave was something that was actually spoken by a Texas governor.
Yeah. Was that Perry?
No, that was a long time ago. That was I think it was our first female governor.
Oh wow! It's like one step forward, two steps back kind of thing there.
Yeah, and she actually thought that the King James Bible was written in the original language that Jesus spoke.
Ugh.
Because what the hell? I mean, these people will get into a fight if they find. One of these guys was talking to a Jewish man. They were in the army. This is a story that I hear from this. These guys are sitting around a table talking, and one of these guys finds out that the guy sitting at the table with him is Jewish, and he says, "Well, aren't you upset that don't you feel guilty because you guys murdered Jesus?" And the Jew responds by saying, "Well, we take it we were kind of honored by the fact that Jesus was the most famous Jew."
That's a terrible argument in the first place too. If I were the guy, I would have been like, "How do you feel about the fact that you killed a lot of the Native Americans or enslaved a continent of people?"
Christian then jumps over the table to try to beat up the Jew. Why? Because he called Jesus a Jew.
Oh no!
How dare you be accurate?
Yeah, well, he didn't know. How do you not know that Jesus was Jewish?
I don't know.
Because nobody reads their stupid book of fables.
Right.
It's like when you buy a warranty on something and you don't read it. You buy the warranty because you want peace of mind. At least this is what people explain to me. When they buy a warranty because they want peace of mind. Well, the peace of mind is you can just pretend that everything will be taken care of. And then when you have to call in on that warranty, you find out that there's terms and conditions. They were written there a whole time, and you could have read about them, but nobody pays attention to that.
Right. It's the peace of mind, basically.
One of the speeches for Darwin Day in Fort Lauderdale, I did it on Chick Tracts, and I just showed a whole list of them, how they said that the Mormons were a cult and the Catholics were a cult and Islam was a cult and the Masonic Lodge was a cult and how the TV show Bewitched was devised to promote witchcraft.
Yeah, we've done that one actually.
Yeah, we did the Dark Dungeons ones, and my particular favorite ones are the ones they rewrite for black audiences, and they'll use like really old timey black colloquialisms like paw paw, and then they have a legit like translation at the bottom of the panel like that means grandfather, white folk. It's so beautiful. These are the most bittersweet things we've ever found on the internet.
It's kind of like when you meet like black Mormons, for example.
Like, why do you exist?
Exactly. Or and Muslim women often affect me the same way. I'm just as curious about them. There are 7 states in this country where it remains illegal to be an atheist and hold political office, and I am in one of those states right now.
Right.
Interesting.
Those are just waiting to go to court, though, because honestly, it's superseded by the Constitution. You're not allowed to have tests like that for holding office. You're just not.
That's why everybody wants to have. That's why everybody wants to have states' rights that overrule the federal rule.
Yeah, that's Articles of Confederation, basically, and that didn't work.
Yeah, but that's what they're still trying in Texas. Of course, Texas still says, well, we'll still throw all our toys out of the pram, and we'll just cry and go home if you don't follow our rules. We will leave this. We will leave the nation. We will secede.
I'd like to see the South try and secede and then live on its own, because most like welfare benefits go to the South.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're trying, because they're trying to get rid of the Department of Education. They don't want there to be free public schools anymore. So they want children to go back to the workforce, and some people have actually wrote that that's what they should do. And otherwise, they want schools to be all religious-based and for-profit.
I never understand that sort of thing. Some people are so vehemently against anything, any social program, anything publicly funded, basically. Yeah. If there's anything that should be, it's schools, it's education.
Education, safety, infrastructure, things that they have because of socially funded programs. And, like, as soon as their roads start falling apart, they're going to be like, hey, can we get a bunch of people to, like, pay for this all at once? I don't know. They used to call that a tax, but we won't do that anymore. And someone's going to go, no, I'm going to go work on my farm. I don't need a road. And
the other alarming thing, the way that they want to get rid of public schools, and the reason why they want to is because they want to impose their own beliefs. I have actually had this conversation both with Christians and with libertarians who both say that if the parents want their kids to believe that Benjamin Franklin was the first king of America, then they have the right to teach their children that. And if they want to teach that Columbus discovered Ohio in 1942, they're welcome to teach that if that's what the parents want to believe, and that's what the parents pay for. Factual information and what the detriment of deception is to a child does not matter. Nothing outweighs what the libertarian or the fundamentalist Christian wants to pay for and wants their kids to be deceived into believing.
See, I would argue to those people that doesn't, sure, you have rights as an individual, but doesn't the child have rights too to learn correct information to the best that we understand it? Well, you don't have the right to lie to people all the time. I mean, I guess you do, but shouldn't the person have the right to be told the truth as well? And
right.
The argument that I've heard is parents telling me that they have the right, and I'm not kidding, they actually phrase it this way, they have the right to be wrong, and that they have the right to tell their children whatever they want their children to believe, regardless what the facts are.
See, that implies to me, too, that they know on some level that they are wrong.
Yeah, but they're just, like, standing on principle, like, fuck you, Obama!
I don't understand the offense some people have, too. They take it as a personal offense, like...
I ain't no damn monkey!
Like, why would you even care if you were? What would...
Right, I don't know. Maybe it's latent racism?
I think it is. I really think it is, and they get really upset about being in part of nature, because it's not. They were told that they were special. They are not made of star stuff. They're made of angel dust.
Which it seems like it would be kind of a subtle difference.
Well, they want to believe that they were created as a golem spell being made out of mud. I don't understand the mindset. So the professor thinks to himself, "I hate him." Because that's what you would always do, right? You wouldn't. Yeah, but anyway, yep. And then he's destroying me. See, it's me. It's not that. Hey, maybe my idea is wrong. Maybe I should change my. No, it's a personal attack. You've got to stick with your belief. Don't stop believing. Holding on to that feeling. Because we have to be just as pig-headed as the creationists, right? Where we have to swear an oath, like all creationist organizations do. They put out their statement of faith, where they state openly, and you can look this up. Look up any creationist organization you happen across. Look up their statement of faith. You'll see a statement in their statement of faith where they attest that they will never change their mind or admit when they are wrong, regardless what evidence stands against them, ever.
So the opposite of science, basically.
Exactly. Sorry. Go